so excited to film this. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming my January rooted video. So if you'd like a little more context on this video and its content, then you need to check out my video that's entitled Why 2016 Was So Tough and my focus word for 2017, because that explains more about why my word for the year is rooted and kind of why I am doing a video series each month checking in with regards to becoming more rooted in the city that we're living in right now. So if you haven't seen that and you're watching this, it might not make a ton of sense, so you might want to go ahead and watch that video and then head back over here and this will make a little bit more sense. So this is obviously being aired in February, but it is a recap of January. So I am so thrilled to film this video today because I actually have so much good news, and I feel like I am in such a better place than I even was when I filmed the video I was just mentioning, which was only a month ago. I just feel like I have come so far, and I'm amazed at what a month can do of positive thinking and kind of moving forward and putting my best foot forward. So I do have notes on my phone, so if you see me looking down, I'm looking down at those notes because I've had a little note on my phone open all month, and I've just added different pieces to it all month so that I would remember what to share with y'all today. So all in all, January was an amazing month. I am so thankful for the fresh start of the new year and just starting over in a lot of ways. Like I mentioned in my last video, I realized that there's nothing magical about January 1st, but there kind of is. Like, I know that there's nothing changes unless we do, but I really feel like I did change. I feel like I was so tired of feeling so stuck and so miserable in 2016, and so when 2017 was coming, I was like gearing up, and as soon as 2017 hit, I just feel like there's been a major change in every part of my life, honestly. I just have been a much more peaceful and content person since the new year hit because of these changes and these different action steps, so to speak, that I'm going to talk about today. So I am definitely I am a thinker. I like to think about things a lot, but I'm certainly a doer as well. I don't think just sitting around and thinking about meeting people in a new place or feeling more stable or rooted as I'm trying to become in a new place happens just by kind of meditating on that fact. I think it really does happen when we say our prayers and ask for God to help us and then put on our running shoes, so to speak, and get going. And so that's not to say that there aren't times when God's asking us to just wait on Him, but for me in this instance it was very clear that that was not the case, that this was a time when I really needed to kind of saddle up and go instead of just kind of wallowing in pity and just wishing I lived somewhere else or wishing that the circumstances were different, because they're not. So there's no really use in kind of churning in that cycle. So this month, here is what I did to kind of get rooted, so to speak, in the community here. And I feel like I did a lot. I feel like it was really, it's been really, really just a great month. January was great. So, and I haven't been able to say that in seriously like a year and a half, where I've been able to look back and say like, that was a great month. Like, I was truly happy and content that month. So it is a joy to be able to say that, as you will see in various weepy video clips that I'm about to insert. Okay, so here's what I did. I have a list of maybe about 9 things, it looks like. So first of all, I started hosting our women's small group in my home. I love hosting people in my home. It is my most favorite thing. I love cleaning my home up and brewing some tea and getting out treats and fluffing the pillows and lighting the fire and lighting candles around the house. It is totally my thing. I absolutely love it. And so even though I haven't been able to become close with any of a lot of the women in my church, which, like I mentioned in my previous video, there aren't very many. I don't feel like I've gotten super close with them yet. What better way than inviting them into my home? And so every other Sunday night we meet here, and my husband goes out with friends, or he goes and hangs out with his mom who lives across town, and they watch, you know, a movie together, something like that, whatever. And then the women just come here, and I brew some decaf coffee, and I put out a bunch of tea, and like I said, some food or treats, and other people will bring a couple of things, and it's just so nice. Even if the relationship isn't there, there's a level of intimacy and connection that comes with people being in your own home. So being able to host that women's small group was, and continues to be, just really special for me, and I just feel like I'm more a part of the community because of that. And I'm using my skill set. Like, I'm not good at a lot of things, but I am really good at hosting people, and I love it. So I get to use that. It's really fun. I also was able to meet up with a couple of friends. So I met up with a new friend who is one of Riley's college friends. And if you're watching, hi Valerie, thanks so much for getting lunch with me. And after she watched my last video, actually, even though we live probably about an hour and a half apart, maybe a little less than that, depends on the traffic. It could be like straight up 4 hours apart, but we're probably about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes apart actually. Anyway, after she watched that video, she sent me a Facebook message and just said, would you ever want to meet up halfway and get lunch? And I was like, yes, I would love to. And she has a infant baby girl who is so beautiful and precious, and it was super fun. So we met halfway. So for both of us, it was, I think for her it was like a 20 or 30 minute drive, and for me it was like a 30 or 40 minute drive. It was perfect, and we met and got lunch, and we sat there for a couple of hours and chatted, and it was so nice. It was so nice to just sit across the table from another woman, and she works from home too, and she totally gets it, and now, you know, she's in the season of motherhood, and so we got to talk about that. It was just great. And then I also spent the day with one of my old friends from college, Tessa, and Tessa and I go way back because we were in the same sorority together, and I was her big sister and she was my little sister in our sorority, which was Sigma Kappa. And anyway, so she lives in Dallas, which is about an hour and a half or so from where I am. And so I drove into the city to spend the day with her, and all of that is documented in weekly vlog number 5 if you are interested in seeing that visit. It was so much fun. We had a great day together, and I'm just spending time with someone who I've known for a long time and who knows me really well, and just getting to catch up and hear about each other's lives and all of that. It was like so life-giving and special and fun. And we made a pact. We're like, we need to do this more often. It's not something that either of us like think about, because it is such a drive, and it's not, you know, we don't live very close, but it's really worth it. And so we're gonna have to do that more times this coming year. So meeting up with a couple of friends doesn't seem like a big deal. And if you had told me that that would be a big deal, to meet up with 2 friends in a month, like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, I would have cracked up, because I had lunch with girlfriends or dinner with girlfriends like every night of the week, like all the time. I had lunch dates all the time. I saw people all the time, coffee dates all the time. It was just a given. But that's not the case anymore. That is not the case anymore. And so it is a huge accomplishment, and just a huge, just a joy to be able to get together with a couple of women. So I was able to do that this month, and that was awesome. I also went ahead and applied to be a volunteer at our local Boys and Girls Club here in the town we live in. And actually, it's funny because the building, the Boys and Girls Club building here, is literally one of the nicest buildings in the whole city, because it used to be in, the Boys and Girls Club used to be held in like this little, I mean, honestly, like a shack. Like, it was a little old house that had been kind of converted, and the pictures I've seen of it are like a little bit, it just is not that great. And last May of 2016, so not even a year ago, some investor, I think, or something like that, came in, and he built, or paid to have built, this huge, amazing facility. It's unbelievable. I walked in and I'm like, I feel like I'm in a city again. It doesn't feel like we live in the middle of nowhere right now, because this building is so amazing. And so anyway, that's besides the point. I would have volunteered there in the tiny house or in the big one. But when I walked in, I was so shocked. I just didn't realize it was going to be like that. So anyway, I picked up an application and I filled it out and I returned it. And I actually have footage of that process, even though it's not some amazing process. It's just picking up an application, filling it out, and returning it. And then I have some thoughts. I just had a huge dose of peace that I feel like washed over me after I handed in my application. And so I'm going to insert that footage here so that you can follow along that journey with me.
I'm heading into the Boys and Girls Club to get a volunteer application. I just went into the Boys and Girls Club and I got a volunteer application, which is a good next step for me. It's always these little steps that keep me from doing things. So like yesterday I messaged them and on their Facebook page, and because they don't have a website, and I asked what my next step would be if I wanted to volunteer, and they said to come by and pick up a volunteer application. So I've done that. So now I'll complete it and return it and hopefully get to start working with some of the kids in town, which will be really great. So I'm another step closer to being a little more rooted in this city, and it really is these little small, kind of small yet overwhelming steps, you know, that add up to being able to feel a little bit more planted here. So I'm really, really excited about it, and I can't wait to fill it out and kind of get going, start volunteering. So it's like a week after the last time I checked in with regards to Boys and Girls Club, and I just went to the club and dropped off my application, and I had all my references in there and kind of information about what the kind of population group or the age group within Boys and Girls Club that I'd be interested in working with, although I said, wherever you need me, I'm fine. But driving home after doing that, it's just one small thing, but I have like such a peace right now about living here, and I feel like this January, it's only like the 17th, and I just have God has cultivated this peace within me that I haven't had for the past 18 months, and I am so thankful for it because it's giving me life. It has been so hard to feel so unsettled for all this time, and so to finally have peace and contentment and just I feel okay, and I'm so thankful for that. I'm really thankful for that, and I feel like so much of that is me just finally turning toward God and just saying okay, I'm obviously here. It doesn't really matter whether I like it or not, because this is where I'm going to be for a little while, in the next couple years or so. And so, here I am, let's do something here. Let's make a difference here. And I feel like just that one small step, that one small turn back toward the Lord after a pretty dry season of kind of being frustrated or angry with Him and not really leaning into Him is giving me so much joy and so much life. And it's such a testament to the fact that we truly are always only just a small, shift away, just a little moment away from being back in the contentment and peace that the Lord provides. I'm so thankful. I'm just so thankful for that. So if you're in a similar place, you're just one small step. You just have to turn back toward the Lord. In middle and high school, during small groups and everything, we would always use the illustration of if there were two chairs sitting facing each other, and one's Jesus and one's you. The Jesus chair never turns. He's always right there with you. He is for you. He wants to have a relationship with you. He wants to give you peace and joy, and He wants to walk with you through life. But unfortunately, our chair is more like a swivel chair, and we end up turning away from Him and searching for peace and joy and contentment in other places. But if we would just face His chair and just turn to Him, He will open up doors that we didn't know could be opened, and He will give us peace and joy in situations where it didn't feel like that was possible. And I'm literally experiencing it right now, and I've experienced it many other times in life, but literally right now in this moment, I am feeling so at peace and just so joyful and content in living here, which is literally a miracle and a 180 transformation from how I felt even just a few weeks ago. So it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing to think about that.
So as you can see, even just taking the smallest steps, picking up a piece of paper and writing my information on it and turning it back in, gave me such a huge sense of peace and contentment, and really truly helped me feel more rooted here. And so I haven't heard back from Boys and Girls Club yet, which is not surprising to me because I know they need to run a background check and they need to call all of my references and all of that, and we just got back from being away anyway, so it's totally fine. But I'm hoping that this month, by the end of this month, or maybe early next month, I can be in the center volunteering, working with some of the kids, and I am just so looking forward to it. I have a huge heart for kids. I love kids. I love being around them. I just love them so much. So I just think that will be a really great opportunity. And I worked or volunteered at a Boys and Girls Club when I was in college every Friday afternoon, and it was such a fun way to end the week, because I think I'm learning more and more that, like, the more that I focus on my world and myself and what's going on with me and how I don't feel super content here and how I don't feel like I have friends and all these things, and the more I'm selfishly focused on myself, the more anxious and miserable I am. But the more that I pour out my life for other people, and the more that I open up my home and give up my time to volunteer and these kinds of things, the more content I am. And I really feel like that's how humans were built. I mean, I think we were made to, we're intended to love other people and to take care of other people and not just only focus on ourselves. And so I feel like I've known that in my head, but seeing that in practice in this past month has really brought a whole new level of dimension to that idea of really focusing outwardly instead of inwardly. In January, we also joined our church as members, which was really exciting. So there was a long membership class that we took after services one Sunday, where we went into the theology of the church and just made sure that our views aligned. And the church we go to is very Bible-based, meaning that each Sunday the pastor opens up his Bible and he's prepared a sermon based on a very specific passage of scripture. And so he'll read through that scripture and we'll just go verse by verse by verse. It's truly a Bible church. And so another way that some people do church, that many of the churches I've been to in the past, is more topical or thematic. So maybe we'll talk about family, and so that the pastor will pull verses from various parts of the Bible and share a sermon on family or on generosity or something like that's topical. But our church is different because it's not necessarily topical. If there's a passage of scripture that we're doing and it covers 6 topics, then we go through those 6 topics. And it just feels like it feels like the right thing for us right now, because it feels like a really in-depth Bible-based kind of church. And I just think it's really important to know the Word and not just have these ideas about what God is like or what Jesus is like. I feel like there's never been a time in history when the name of the Lord or the name of Jesus has been pulled through the mud and perverted as much as right now. I just see people saying things that this is what God thinks and this is what, and it's like so unbiblical, and it breaks my heart because it totally deters people from even being interested in God's love for them or God's goodness for them. So I'm on a rant right now. Basically, we were really thrilled to become members of this church. So this one might seem a little bit silly, but we found Charlie a groomer in January, and that is a huge accomplishment for us because what we've been doing has not been working. So we had a great groomer, and then she retired from grooming late last year, and it's been a little bit of a headache trying to find another groomer. The reason being, a lot of the dogs in town here are like giant farm dogs, and they're just big old dogs, and they just need to get scrubbed down, and they have fur, not hair, and Charlie has hair, our dog, and so they just it's just a totally different kind of grooming than when we have like this little frou-frou poodle mix that needs like hand scissoring and like all these special things. And so finding a groomer is not easy, especially around here. In cities, there are always like a million places that can groom Charlie. I had one on my street in Austin because a lot of people have those kind of little prissy pups like we have, but when you get out into the country, it's like giant farm dogs or bust. So anyway, we were able to find there's one groomer in town, and they have like a 2 or 3 month waiting list, because anyone who has like a poodle mix of any kind or any kind of dog that would be like that would need like a specialty grooming, there's nowhere else to go. But anyway, we got in and we went, and the women were so lovely and kind. They did a beautiful job. Charlie looks so cute. And so now we're on their rotation for every 6 weeks or so, which is like just such, those little things, when you don't have those in place in a new city or in a new place you're living, you feel so disconnected. I remember when I moved to Austin, just trying to find like a dentist and a hairstylist and a groomer and like those kinds of things. And once you have those things in place, you feel a lot more settled. So that's just one more step in us feeling a lot more settled here, having Charlie has a place to go to get his hair cut every 6 weeks, and that's all squared away. And so we are, it's just a burden lifted, and a way that we're feeling definitely more rooted in 2017. I also bought this necklace from Etsy, off of Etsy this month, or in January I did, and I'm going to insert a close-up. It's like, has a little tree engraved on it, and I bought it because I wanted something that I could wear often to remind me of becoming rooted, and I think a tree is the perfect representation of that, and just reminding me that little tiny steps do add up and they do make a difference, and it's only going to be little by little that I'm going to achieve my goal of becoming more rooted. It's not going to be one major life-changing moment. It's going to be a lot of little steps. And so I've been wearing this necklace a lot, and I've been really enjoying having that reminder around my neck. It was very inexpensive. I'll link it below if you're interested, but it's beautifully made. It's sterling silver, and I just love it. I love wearing it and reminding myself that rooted is my word for this year, and little by little I'm going to get there. Another thing that I did this month to feel more rooted is that I started inviting my sister-in-law Emily over every Wednesday we loved the same show on Wednesday, so we watch this show together, and we usually hang out for a while beforehand and after, and we drink tea and we just chat. So Emily has 3 children, and they are precious, my nieces and nephew, and she works about 30 miles south of where we live, and so even though she just lives right around the corner, I don't get to see her very often because she doesn't work in town, and she has 3 kids. And so this has been like a really special way for us to bond and hang out, and Riley hangs out with us, and we just laugh and have a good time, and she usually comes over in her slippers and PJs, and we're usually in comfy clothes too, and we just like brew a big pot of tea and just sit there and sip on it and watch our show and chat, and it's just so much fun. Like, we just have such a good time together, and so it's been so much fun to spend more time with her, because I've always gotten along really well with her, but it's hard, you know, like I said, because of the logistics of life, we don't get to see each other as often as we would like. So I've really enjoyed that every week, and it's something so fun to look forward to in the dead center of the week. You know, on Wednesday nights we have this, you know, Emily's coming over, and we always, you know, just spruce up our house, light a few candles, and just enjoy having her over in her company. So that's been something that's been really fun for us, that we have deeply enjoyed each Wednesday this January, and we have continued it into February, and hopefully we'll continue it for a while. Another thing that I did this month to help me feel more rooted in town was I went to my local library and got a library card. And that was such a silly, small thing, but again, small steps really do add up. And so what I did actually was I went and I checked out like 3 or 4 books on gardening, because our backyard, hot mess. It's not the best. So we would love to this spring kind of dig it up and plant some stuff. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And so I got out some books, some like gardening in Texas books, and what plants work in Texas, and yada yada. So I'm going to look through those and learn a little bit, and hopefully by, you know, next month or so we can start making some steps to plant some things. Even if we just buy a couple planters, or we just do like one raised bed garden, I would be really excited about that, and would really be happy and would love to do that. So anyway, so I got a library card, and that was super fun. The last thing that I focused on in January to feel more rooted was to celebrate more. I just had this sense that God was inviting me to celebrate more. I feel like I spent the last year and a few months not celebrating a lot, just feeling really sorry for myself and just kind of dragging through the days. And I felt like with 2017 there was a renewed sense of joy for me and a renewed sense of celebration, and just finding small moments and small things to celebrate, and just making the most of each day and of life. And I know that sounds so cheesy, but if you've ever been in a season of life like the one that I described in my last video that I'm just now coming out of, where I felt really miserable a lot of the time and just really stuck and like I was in the wrong place and things were not going right, there's not a lot of room for celebration when your heart is that heavy. And so if you have been in a season like that, I think you can understand what I mean when I say, like, I just want to celebrate things more and just celebrate the fact that we're alive and healthy and we are so blessed, and just like celebrating that. Just literally the fact that I have breath in my lungs is a reason to celebrate. I'm so thankful for that. And so actually, there was one day in the middle of January that was just beautiful. It was a beautiful sunshiny day, and I was driving to the grocery store and I had my windows down. I was just soaking in the sunshine, and I just got brought to tears by just how lighthearted I felt and how joyful I felt and how far I felt like God had brought me in just a couple of weeks of turning kind of more towards Him and really trying to be more focused on finding peace and joy. And I actually recorded it, and I kind of can't believe I recorded it or that I shared it. But I told you at the beginning of this series that my intent for this was for it to be really real and really raw. I don't want to be fake and be like, everything's great suddenly. It's been a fight every day to make those steps towards feeling more rooted. But I'm doing that, and it's wonderful. So I'm going to insert that clip here of that special day in January when I was going to the grocery store, and I ended up buying ingredients for frozen hot chocolate. It was a copycat recipe from the restaurant Serendipity in New York. It was such a delicious, decadent treat. So I will insert that whole series of clips right now.
It is a beautiful day in January. It's like 70 something degrees, and I just pulled up to the grocery store and I was able to drive here with the windows down, and I put on some praise music really loud, and I'm just so full of joy today. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm filming this right now. But I just want to encourage you, like, if you related to how I felt in my, the description of how I felt in my last video of just like, 2016 was so rough on a day-to-day basis. Like, there is so much hope in the Lord. I feel such a sense of renewal in 2017 already, and I'm so thankful for it. And I just sense in such a huge way that that God is moving in my life and helping me to learn to find joy, like, regardless of what my address is, regardless of what friends I do or don't have. Like, there's so much to be thankful for, and there's so much to be grateful for. I'm sorry, like, I got a little teary-eyed when I was listening to the music on the way here. I did not think I would be like this weepy mess. Anyway, I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful to feel joy in the middle of a really dry season. Okay, I feel like I've composed myself now. It took a couple minutes. Oh, these are happy tears, but like, they're coming in hot. I'm going to go into the grocery store. We're going to have a special dinner tonight. One of the things I really wanted to focus on in January was just celebrating small things every day, because that is such a good way to focus on what you're thankful for and to build joy. So we're going to have a yummy dinner tonight together, and I think I'm going to like light candles and make it kind of special, even though it's just a random Wednesday night. So thanks for watching this. I'm really excited about it, and I'm so thankful for this gorgeous, beautiful, sunshiny day in the middle of January. Cheers to life.
So that pretty much sums up January 2017 for me. It was a month of renewal. It was a month of newfound peace and renewed joy and celebration and living life more fully and more completely. It was definitely a month of turning my face back toward Jesus and just becoming more aware of His presence in my life and of His goodness in my life, instead of just staying in the pit that I had kind of felt like I was in for a while. And so I'm so thankful for that. I also just want to say thank you so much. Like I will weep if I really think about it too much. Thank you to each of you who left such a lovely comment on my last video about what this series was going to be about. And to everyone who emailed me or Facebook messaged me or left me a comment or a message on Instagram. I mean, it was like dozens and dozens and dozens of people, and I cannot explain to you how comforting it was to know that I am not alone in how I feel. I'm gonna get choked up right now. It is so comforting to know that I'm not alone in how I feel, and that there are other women who have had a hard time moving to a new city and finding their community there and finding their people there and finding their footing there and putting down roots. It was so lovely to hear from some of y'all who have been there but have come out of that season of life and are now feeling really stable and rooted. It was just, I can't tell you. I mean, there's just such a huge it was like my heart got a huge hug hearing from each of you who said that you understood and you know where I am and you know how it feels. I'm at a loss for words. It was amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to reach out to me. It meant the world to me, truly, to know that you understand and that you're on a similar journey. And I'm just really humbled and excited that we are on this journey together. So looking forward to February. In February, I want to do a couple of things. I, through a series of serendipitous events, met a woman who lives in my town through Instagram. You know, we got together and met up really quickly, and then life happened, and we haven't made, because our lives don't overlap in any way in town, which is actually kind of unusual. So I'm going to reach back out to her, and hopefully we can go get coffee or something like that, because I really enjoyed her. And so I'm going to just see if she would be interested in getting coffee or getting a meal or something like that and kind of chatting and whatever. And she actually moved to the city that we live in from California. So I'm sure that she has experienced some similar feelings of figuring out. And she's older than me. She has grown children in college and that kind of thing. But anyway, I'm going to reach out to her and see if she'd be interested in getting together. And I'm also going to research planting a garden, like I mentioned earlier. So I have all these books. I'm going to research planting a garden and figure out what that looks like. And then I'm sure there will be other little things along the way that I will be able to share with you, just like this list that I just shared with you of what I was able to kind of do in January. And my final goal for February is really to spend more time reading my Bible. I think it is really easy to forget to do that or to remember, but then put it on the back burner and then it doesn't happen, and that has definitely been what I've experienced. So I've actually been using the She Reads Truth app, which I have on my iPad and on my phone, and it's like a series of Bible studies that are thematic, and you can read scripture and then read kind of an analysis or some thought-provoking questions or something like that. And it's like 15 minutes tops each day, and it's a really beautiful interface. So I think I'm going to kind of download a few plans from She Reads Truth and kind of focus on that this month. It's kind of a nice baby step to getting into a more daily practice of journaling and Bible reading and that kind of thing, which has fallen to the wayside a little bit in the past year. So those are kind of my goals for February right now. I really look forward to checking in at the beginning of March to let you know how February went for me. And I just want to thank you again so much for watching. Thank you for being so supportive and loving and kind. I would love to hear if you are working toward your focus word or your goals or your resolutions, how those have been going. What was January like for you? Hearing from you makes my whole day. I love it. And I also got a P.O. box, so that address is below. If you are interested and you want to send me some snail mail, I would love to write you back. I'm all about letters, so anyway, if you want to connect with me in that way too, or if that feels more comfortable to you, if you want to share kind of where you are in life and you want to correspond in that way, I would love to. Thanks again for watching. I hope you have a beautiful, blessed day, and I am so excited for what February holds for both of us. Talk to y'all later.